For our last segment, a major Supreme Court decision this week weakens a landmark voting rights law's protections against discrimination and in redistricting. It's a provision known as Section 2. So in a 6-3 ruling down party lines, SCOTUS voided a majority black congressional district in Louisiana, which boosts Republican chances in the midterm. The court's conservative majority opens the door for Republican-led states to eliminate minority districts that tend to favor Democrats and affect the balance of power in Congress. The 1965 voting rights law was pivotal legislation during the civil rights movement that expanded inclusivity to black voters and weakened persistent discrimination in voting. And it is already having a ripple effect here at home. Within hours of the ruling, Tennessee Senator and gubernatorial candidate Marsha Blackburn posted on Facebook, "I urge our state legislature to reconvene to redistrict another Republican seat in Memphis. It's essential to cement Donald J. Trump's agenda and the golden age of America. I have vowed to keep Tennessee a red state, and as governor, I'll do everything I can to make this map a reality." She's practically pushing to eliminate Congressional District 9, currently held by Democratic Congressman Steve Cohen of Memphis.
Is eliminating the 9th district as a Democratic stronghold and as a district where the majority minority population, African Americans, make the decision on who their congressperson is going to be. That will end. The Supreme Court said they can be racist and they can be discriminatory against minority populations and use race as covertly to create partisan advantage. They've said you can gerrymander for partisan purposes, and you can draw districts that aren't contiguous and aren't compact. The only thing you can't do is use race. But the reality is they're going to use race, and that's what's going to happen.
I'll open it up to Pastor Norman here. Is this about race, or is this more about control in Congress?
This is about control, and it is about exactly what she said, and it is also about race. You eliminate the priorities that we realized and the protections that we realized were needed in 1965 that are still needed today, by the way. But she says very clearly in her letter to cement the Trump agenda in the golden age. This is about creating a Republican state so that there's a lockstep vote that disregards completely the needs and the voices of people who seem to vote differently, think differently, and want something different. This is not a fair statement by the Supreme Court. This is not a fair action by the Supreme Court.
Do you think, Scott, that this will actually, the Tennessee legislature will reconvene like she's asking and make this happen?
I don't think there's the time. You know, the filing deadline is already passed, and the logistics to redistrict and for this election. So I think that this issue is really going to carry over to 28 and beyond. But let me just say, I don't like gerrymandering on either side. You know, Tennessee might turn all red, but because of this, California might turn completely blue. There's other states where it'll balance out. That I don't think the shift in Congress is going to be that major, because if Tennessee goes all red, there will be other states that go all blue, and it'll offset. I think we really need to look at how districts are drawn and make it a more reasonable way that the districts are drawn. But it's politics, and Tennessee is controlled by the Republican Party, and the Republican Party is going to dictate how the legislation of the government runs.
Okay. This is politics, not politics.
Yeah, but, you know, it happens everywhere, though.
Yeah.
I mean, if the Democrats were totally in control, we'd be a blue state.
Politics.
Yeah.
Well, Shelby County and Memphis are the blue dot, right, in this red state. So, Otis, what should minority voters and Democratic voters, what are their concerns here?
Well, their concerns is they're going to be totally ignored when it comes to voting their interests, which is what Section 2, I've read it completely. Section 2 is designed for a contiguous group of minority citizens, voters, which is tailor-made for Memphis, to vote their interest and vote for the person of their choice. And we've been doing that here since 1974 and even before that. This is clearly Jim Crow racism 2.0. You can call it what you want, but that's exactly what it is. First by the Supreme Court, and now by people like Marsha Blackburn, who should know better. She was born in Mississippi, in Laurel, Mississippi, back in 1952. She went through what happened down in Mississippi, she ought to be ashamed of herself for doing this. This is just absolutely outrageous. The reason this is so personal to me, Pepper, is because I still have my mother's receipt where she had to pay the poll taxes to vote when she was 53 years old. And so this is an issue where Memphis is being alienated here. And one more very quick point. And we talk about Brent Taylor a lot here. We talked about him today. If he really wants to make Memphis matter, he will stand up and say this is wrong, and Memphis deserves to have a voice in the legislature, in the Congress, and not from somebody who maybe lives in Union City or lives up in Sumner County or somewhere else.
I wouldn't feel right if I didn't give you the last point. So
I just, this case was really about what happened in Louisiana and the drawing of the map. And if you look at the second district that they were trying to make a black district, it's like a snake going through Louisiana, which Louisiana is full of snakes. That's what the case was based on, was gerrymandering that district for the result that they wanted. So that's where I think the problem is. Granted, there might be people taking advantage of this ruling.
Might be?
Yeah, and while it may be drawn in Louisiana,
we have last point here,
it
gentlemen.
started in Louisiana, and it may be drawn in Louisiana. It has nationwide impact.
And I'm just saying that nationwide impact, you don't know the result. You don't know the result that just as much as the Republicans take advantage of it, the Democrats can take advantage of it in other areas.
Well, we're talking about Memphis.
We're talking about cementing a whole state and turning it red.
Absolutely.
Valid points were made today. Thank you all, gentlemen. You all are always bringing it on this panel. Thank you for watching ABC24 This Week. We hope you'll join us next week for ABC24 This Week.